Hey everyone.
Hi.
Paul and Cheyenne here. Hey look, we're starting off a podcast, and to kick it off I thought what we might do is actually introduce who we are first. Let you guys know a little bit about who we are and why we're doing it. Mm-hmm.
Let's start.
Let's do it. Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm going to do some questions, and then Cheyenne's going to question me after as well.
Okay.
All right. Where did you grow up?
I grew up on the North Shore of Auckland, New Zealand, and we currently live on the Hibiscus Coast in Silverdale, on the North Island. Far North Island? No. Far North Auckland, not in the North Island.
She knows where she is.
Yeah. Just trying to pinpoint it. I'm like, where is it? It's far North Auckland.
Yeah, I nickname it sometimes the Gold Coast of New Zealand, but hey.
I wouldn't quite put it like that, but okay.
Yeah, anyway. Okay. Have you travelled?
Yes, so in 2023, I think it was, I went overseas to Australia, and then I went to England and France for a convention with my friends around Kenny Ortega's works to do with like High School Musical, Julie and the Phantoms, his Disney work, and also I've been to Fiji. So yeah, I've travelled a bit, and Australia obviously because, you know, motorsport.
Yeah, we'll get to that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So what got you interested in motorsport?
Haha, that's funny because this one right here got me into it because he grew up watching it, and then Dad took me to my very first race down at the Pukekohe Raceway, and yeah, from there it's kind of been a constant thing in my life. It went away for a little bit because we lost interest a little bit because there was a bit of change in the supercar around, but then I came back into it.
Bit of busyness on our behalf as well in life.
Yeah. But yeah, back into it full swing, got Dad back into it a lot more in the last few years. But yeah.
I know you already mentioned it, but what was the first track that you went to?
Pukekohe Raceway in Auckland.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is no more, and I know a lot of drivers actually really dig that track.
Yeah, it is such a shame that they closed it because it was so iconic, and I know a lot of the supercar boys highly rate it, and then some of even the international drivers from them doing their sim work, and that they love the layout of it, and it's so sad that it's not part of supercars anymore.
The thing I find crazy about that is you think about the population and how much there is in Auckland, that a track like that. Oh, anyway, I'm going to stop there.
That'll go on a tangent.
Yes. All right, so what would be the most memorable motorsport memories you have?
Well, first would be, because it's my first memory from when we were at Puke, I was on Dad's shoulders and I was yelling out at the iconic race car drivers known as Greg Murphy and Mark Scaife. And I was screaming their names so loud that some of the media came over and was like, oh, can we get like a shot of her doing her thing? And I think it was in the newspaper or something. I haven't actually ever seen that footage. I'm sure if we tried to find it one day we might be able to.
It's a shame we never actually thought about that closer to the time.
Yeah, but that's my first like one ingrained in my brain, and like I, for as long as I remember, have always been like a massive fan of Murph Scaife.
And I must admit, hearing one of your children sort of yelling and screaming at cars going past on a motorsport track makes a father very proud.
Yeah. Still to this day, I'm pretty sure I yell louder than you most of the time anyway.
Yeah. Well, I won't say what I was going to say. So, what would be some, more motorsport memories you got?
So there's that one, and then I think for me, my biggest one probably after that was, the first time we went back to supercars, I think, because we went back through your work to Puke, and that's when I got to see like Shane win the last ever race there as well.
Last race at Puke.
And do you know my biggest flop is Shane van Gisbergen, the Shane van Gisbergen, gave me his winning Pirelli hat, and I turned it down and said, no, you keep it. And to this day, Shane, if you ever see this, I'm still mad about that because I was being like, no, you keep it. Stupid Shane. But anyway, that was a big one because obviously he won the last race there, and also I think...
You were thinking it would have been special to him.
Yeah, obviously, because, you know. But also, I think Jaime was on the podium that day as well, and watching him and Cam Waters battle for that win was iconic.
Epic.
Another one, I did a hot lap. Was it last year or the year before?
Oh, with Jaime.
With Jaime Gardner, and that was so cool because before the, like, leading up to it as well, I was posting on my race account about getting to do that because I've always wanted to. The side tangent to that, I still really, 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 really want to have a hot lap with a certain supercar driver. You'll know who I'm talking about.
Sorry, it's allergies.
But that was really fun because she was telling me as well in the car when we're coming in through the pit, and I said it's quite a like tight like pit entry, and he was like, yeah, it's one of the tight ones, and there's a lot more very tight pit entries on some of the tracks too, because you've got to really like step onto the like the pit limiter, and then seeing through the after him telling me that, I was watching when they'd come in, and I was like, whoa.
And how aggressively they're spinning the wheel.
Yeah, and it just goes boom, and you're like, whoa. But also just the feeling of going around in, because I think I went in around was it a Mustang? Because it was the closest one they had to his car. But because it was before the Gen 3's launch, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it was good to see him.
And he totally went fast. Like, the fact that mum, dad, and my friends literally, they're like, dang it, Jaime, as I was coming past, and he did, like, I'm sure we could pull up some footage at some point of me screaming my head off.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to download that one, because, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was so fun, though. But yeah, and then probably another one is when I went to my first Grand Prix at Australia last year, and I got to meet a whole bunch of my favourite F1 drivers, and I got to have a really cool experience with the Red Bull team actually, because they didn't have like the paddocks like they would normally have at the races, so I got to go to the Red Bull Energy Station, which is like the hospitality for the Red Bull racing team in F1, and I got to kind of hang out with fans and also with Jamie Whincup, and it was really cool talking with Jamie because obviously I followed him for quite a while growing up as well, and it felt really special. He was just like chatting to me the whole time. When we were chatting, we got further into the energy station and we turned to our right, and Jamie's like, oh look, it's just Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez just casually off to the side there. So that was another memorable one. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. But also like memories of just getting to meet lots of the drivers and how down to earth they are and how willing they are to talk to you, and like if you know what you're talking about, they love it because it's like, oh, you're not just here for me, you're actually, you know what's going on, you know.
And I think it's really important to mention because, you know, this podcast is going to, you know, come from a, you know, spectator point of view, you know, armchair specialist.
Because we don't, well, Dad knows technicality of like how cars work, but obviously we love and enjoy the sport and we watch it because of that, and that's why we're fans of it. And it was so cool for me, the fan, to like just chat with J-Dub and hear what was going on at the team and talk to him about that. And I think he really enjoyed as well. Being female for me, he probably found that quite cool and important because it's a girl that was getting into the sport, because the demographic is really showing at the moment that
and just females, being real with them, not being fangirl.
Yeah, and like the demographic is climbing, that there is more girls getting into motorsport, which is so cool to see. Because
absolutely, and there's no reason why not.
I know, exactly. There's nothing wrong with guys being into it, because guys can like cars, I don't care. Yeah. But I just love that
we've always been into it.
They're highlighting the fact that there's more women in motorsport, and I love that. Like they've now got F1 Academy to help girls get up into the ranks through into F1 one day, which I think is so cool. Well,
I'll tell you what, we're going to talk much more about a whole lot of that kind of stuff in some of our other pods coming up. But anyway, let's move along, because I got to have a chat as well. So, so tell everyone why you want to do this podcast.
Well, for me, I feel like me and Dad kind of always love talking about this sort of stuff with each other, and obviously I've got some friends that do it, but...
And people at work and friends.
Yeah, everyone at my work, because I forgot to mention, I work in education, so when I'm wearing like my motorsport stuff, it's cool. I get to talk to the children about it, and everyone that talks to me is like, oh, what's that about? And I can talk to them about it, and I will yap about it because I love it so much. But like, I just think there's a space really where obviously it's me and my dad where we can talk from our perspective of what we're seeing, what's going on, what we're enjoying, why we're going to a certain maybe event or whatnot, and it's just a space kind of, I think that would be cool to go into. And also like, not to brag or anything, but a certain podcaster himself thought it was a cool idea too, so.
Oh, yes. And we will touch on that in probably our next one, actually. But yeah, I'm going to hand the gauntlet over to Cheyenne. You can ask me the same questions.
Okay.
Just touch screen every now and then.
So, Paul, tell me, where did you grow up?
Like Cheyenne, yeah, I grew up on the North Shore of Auckland. I was originally brought up by my grandmother, basically lived in the same area my entire life up to about 13, 14 years ago, where we moved up here. Beautiful, scenery, as Auckland's got lots of water around it, and up here, once again, lots of water around us, so yeah, that was me. Yep,
all right, on to the next one. Have you travelled?
I have travelled, not as much as this one. Look, my first travel experience was actually locally. I'd done a lot of driving around the country here in New Zealand. In fact, I did quite a bit of driving up north, slept in the car, kind of did stuff like that. But my first actual travel out of the country was actually with my wife. We went over to Sydney to an event over there. And then after that, my next one was to Adelaide, where it happened to be the Adelaide 500.
Which is a new branded, new thingy this year, I'm pretty sure.
Again, it's going to be epic. So haven't travelled so much overseas, but absolutely I've been up and down this beautiful country a lot.
Nice. Okay, so what got you interested in motorsport?
Well, as a young fella, actually, like I said, growing up with my grandmother, one of the things I used to do as a young guy, because I got given this little TV to have in my bedroom, and I just ended up having F1 actually on quite a lot back in the days of Michael Schumacher Ferrari.
Cars reference, if you don't understand that reference, you need to go watch it.
Watched it 1,000 times. So it was really F1, and a little bit into my early teens I was watching that, and then again kind of grew out away from that, but always had interest in cars. My mates and I always drooled over seeing Holden Commodores, whizzing past us, or V8s, and jaws would drop and that kind of stuff. As young guys
He's still like that today, by the way. Anytime we hear anything, well, to be fair, I'm the same, and he just perks up and he's like, "Oh, what was that?"
So then, of course, as a young fella, I think my first car was a Morris Minor, would you believe? Really old school. I bought it for $100. It almost had brakes. It almost had a clutch. The motor still worked and the gearbox still worked, but we won't go much further into that one.
Oh my goodness.
Things that boys do. My second car, unfortunately, this is a confession moment actually. Sorry guys. It was a Ford. It was a Ford Cortina Mark II, and I had a lot of fun with that car actually. Every weekend pull the head off it, head gasket on there. Motor had a couple of little tricks done to it. The thing was jacked up like this and would cruise around, town and wave at girls and stuff like that as you do as a teenager.
No, not the catcalling.
A little bit. And then pretty much from there we rolled into some Toyotas from that point on. And then after Toyota cars, I had a few of them, which I might share later on actually at some stage. Moved into Holdies. I think a VK was my first, and then into VN, and then some VZ stuff, which in fact I have even now to this day. I've got an SS.
Yeah, so if you can't tell already, both me and Dad are very much Holden orientated. If I didn't mention it before actually, so he's got his Holden and I also have a Holden Cruise, and it's like a dad-daughter matching set because mine's the same colour as his, but it's just a Cruise, which is quite funny.
Yeah, with good wheels.
Oh yeah. Trouble, but good wheels. So what was the first track you went to?
Absolutely. Actually, Pukekohe, and even back in the days of the Hamilton Street Race.
Oh yes, I forgot we didn't go to that though, did we?
Oh, you didn't, but Tina and I went to that.
Was I too little or just?
No, I think it was before your time.
No, because when we used to go down to Hamilton, it was on, because Shane was still racing in it when I was, like, watching it.
Oh, I can't remember.
So we just
many sleeps ago, right?
We only went to Pukekohe, but...
Yeah. Pukekohe, Hamilton. I've been to lots of little tracks around the country for different smaller events, like even, stock cars and, things like that, as you do, Western Springs, and many others. So many tracks, so many cars, it's great.
All right.
Oh, and Australia, in Adelaide, yes.
Well, that was it. So what was your most memorable motorsport moment?
For me personally, it was actually... There's actually two. One was actually when we were at Pukekohe and that event, you up on my shoulders screaming, "Go Moopy! Go Moopy! Go on Scapey!" None of the Fords.
Sorry.
But that was the most memorable. And having a media person coming up and say, "Hey, look, you okay? We'll take a photo," etc. of your daughter and you getting right into it. So yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh, might I add, this was his iconic Kmart car as well. So. That just gives you history, how, in depth it is. Anyway, back to you.
Yes, back in the very passionate days of him.
Yes.
So there's that. And, obviously being at Pukekohe later on as well, watching Shane win the last race. That was very big for me. But also enjoying the Adelaide 500, I might add. And something not car related that actually I found really memorable about being in an event was that jet, how loud that thing was, that just shook you to the core.
If any of you have gone to some of the races in Australia, sometimes they have the jets fly over, but in Adelaide, I think we were in the garage, in the 888 garage at the time, weren't we, when it came over, no warning, and holy, that was whoa, shook to the core.
I remember some people sort of starting to go, "Oh, it's coming," and someone said, "Oh, it'll be here before you realise it's so quick."
Yeah.
And it's just started to hear this, and when you start going, it was like in slow motion going, fingers heading towards the ears like this, and it was kind of just came over so quick, and it's didn't quite get there in time, and it's loud. And then seeing this jet doing flipping wheelies like this and then taking off, it was incredible. But anyway.
Yeah. Also, another memory, I think, that I don't know if it'll be one of your favourites, but when we're at Pukekohe, after all the racing and that, other than that moment I discussed with, Dad and I managed to see Murph afterwards. And for me, because you just made me think of it, I had a pinch me moment because we were talking to him and I was saying the memory that I shared, and he was like, "Well, why am I your favourite?" I'm like, "Because you're so iconic to the sport, and even when he's commentating on that, I love it when he gets to do that sort of thing. He's just so lovely." And he was like, "But why me? You have Shane, you have Brock and all of those guys and and Chaz and all that." And I was like, "Because you're you, and you're so a part of Kiwi motorsport legacy." And he was just like, "Oh, thank you." And then I think I had a bit of a moment afterwards, and Dad was like, "Are you okay?" Because I went really quiet and I started crying because obviously for me it was one of the list of a few big motorsport guys that I grew up watching. So I've got a list as well. I'll make reference to it, and I've ticked off a few. Which
She'll get
really
to talk
cool.
about that later.
Yeah. Now, back to why did we want to do this podcast?
Yeah, kind of like you just mentioned before. I think it's just to add, a perspective from a spectator. Someone who gets to watch it on TV a lot, and sometimes get along to the tracks. And because we love getting out there to the tracks, as often as we can, getting those opportunities to talk with the drivers.
Even some of the engineers too, I reckon, because they're so underrated.
Oh, look, totally. And just to kind of share that, because some people just get to see it on TV, they don't get to sort of get along and find out a bit more, or get a photo, or see some extra photos that they don't get to see.
Or like behind the scenes and like what happens in the teams. And stuff,
look, one of the things that we're starting to really see now, the more we've been doing it, is actually how just normal and down to earth the drivers are.
And they love talking about what they do. Like,
I just love being able to just talk cars with them and not talk fan person, because it's just not my vibe.
But like, I feel as well, they are so open to talk about what they've done in their career as well, and talk about why they love what they do as well, because like, I think we kind of saw a bit of that when we were at Topol this year when we were chatting to Scott Pye. He was just like, because he's not racing anymore, but he just loves it because the fans.
Yes. And you had a little mention with him in there as well.
Yes, I did. So I was talking to him about us launching this, and he's like, go for it, because I think there needs to be more kind of like motorsport related pods. And he was like, some of the drivers should do it.
Exactly.
So Apex Hunters, thank you.
Hey, look, and that's just a brief touch on us and who we are. So, the next videos coming out are going to be some content about different races we've been along to. We're going to have a correspondent occasionally live or semi-live or whatever from Australia as well. We've got connections over there.
Yep.
Someone that, just like us, loves to get along to the events.
Yep.
So you'll see her on here too.
So shout out to Katie.
We love you over there, Katie. All right, everyone.
Thank you from Dad and Daughter. See you soon.
And it's all from her and all from him.